this is John Cole with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and this is the episode you guys have been waiting for and have been searching the whole internet for to find out which juicer is the best juicer for celery, right? And we're only talking about one vegetable today, the almighty celery. Oh, the celery. I worship you. You are full of vitamins, minerals, and more importantly, the antioxidants. And the reason why you're probably watching this episode is because you are into the medical medium. Anthony Williams. I love Anthony Williams. I follow him. He has a lot of cool things to say. I haven't read his book, but I've listened to it because I actually listen to audiobooks. And so I've listened to it repeatedly about all the amazing things he said. And actually I learned that he's interviewed actually some of my friends during the research stage of writing his book, which is really cool, but I've never met him. Hope to meet him and actually interview him for you guys one day. But to sum it up, basically he says that celery juice is the answer of many issues out there. Now you're gonna have to read his book for more information on that. I'm just gonna get into the more technical issues of actually juicing the celery, because he does recommend celery juice, although he doesn't really, from what I've seen, have strong opinions on what juicer or method you should use to get the celery juice out. And that's where I come in, I've been using juicers now for 23 years. I've been selling them for 20 years now. 2018 marks my 20th year selling juicers, and I'm considered the #1 world's expert in juicing. I visited juicer factories. I play with all the major brand juicers. I have more videos on YouTube than anyone else that I've ever seen on juicers, comparing juicers side by side, juicing the same exact items. So who more qualified than me to make an episode on what's the juicer best for the celery? And in this episode I hope to show you guys the best juicer for celery based on your specific needs, but also share with you guys some more information about celery and how to pick the best celery and all this kind of stuff. So definitely stay tuned. You will want to watch this episode in its entirety. Okay, so that being said, the main thing is about the juicers, right? Okay, so Anthony has a video that I've seen about, you could juice celery in a blender, or he has a video comparing a blender to a high-speed juicer, right? In my opinion, based on my research and experience juicing, these are the most horrible ways to extract the liquid from celery. These are the ways that I do not recommend. And especially, I'm not even really going to be talking about blending today. I just have it on the table here to show you guys. Basically, to blend things, generally you need a liquid. So if you don't have a high power blender, you will have to add water to the celery to get it to blend, because just chopping up the celery and putting in the blender is not really going to blend up into a liquid. Now if you have a high power blender such as a Vitamix or a Blendtec or other big name brand high power blender that has a tamper in most instances, you can blend the celery into literally a mush that then you could actually pour through a sieve or put into a nut milk bag or paint strainer bag and basically wring out all the liquid, and then thereby you would have a celery juice because it's actually missing the fiber. And that's one very important distinction. Anthony Williams wants you to drink celery juice, not a celery smoothie, although he does recommend smoothies, which I would also agree with are excellent for your health depending on what's in them, but at other times of the day. So he wants you to drink 16 ounces of celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach before anything else, and wait for a while before you do eat anything else to let that celery take effect on you. I will say that I've been juicing for many years, and my normal breakfast or my morning juice is actually celery and cucumber, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing celery cucumber, that's good enough. No, celery cucumber is not good enough. As good as celery cucumber juice is, Anthony wants you to get on the celery juice because of what Spirit had told him. And so actually today starts my first day of I'm just doing celery juice straight. The flavor is a little bit stronger than what I'm used to, but I'm good with it. And so today I drank 32 ounces of celery juice, and I will say that, me being on juices so long, 32 ounces of celery juice gave me a buzz. I felt it instantly as it went into me. I'm like, whoa, I feel a little bit different today, and that's a really cool feeling. And so that being said, you probably don't want to do 32 ounces of celery juice if you're not used to juicing and drinking these juices. If you're just coming off a standard American diet, drinking soda and orange juice and other things and eating processed foods, 32 ounces of celery juice is a lot. So he does recommend 16 ounces, but he also says that, if you're not used to it, start off with a lower amount, and I would definitely say that's definitely a good recommendation. So anyways, so when you blend, the main issue with the blending is this, right? You put the celery in there, you could tamp it down, you have a high-speed blade running around and hitting that produce. So if you're getting beat up, right, by somebody and they punch you once, that's not big of a deal, you know, unless it's like Muhammad Ali, if he was still alive, he'd probably knock you out. But if somebody hits you once, no big deal, you could probably recover, right? But if a guy's sitting there beating on you like 100 times and you get 100 punches, that's a lot more damage. And so that is what the blender is doing to the produce you're putting into it. Because the blade is sitting around and spinning in there 30,000 RPMs, that's revolutions per minute, 20,000, you know, it's really making multiple hits on the produce, so it's really breaking it open, which is good. But on the bad side, it's doing multiple hits, so it's doing a lot more damage. So it's like if somebody hit you 100 times, it'd leave a lot more bigger bruises, maybe even break some bones, whereas if they just hit you once, you might have a small bruise and you'd recover. So basically when you're doing multiple hits inside the blender with the celery, it's damaging some of the nutrients in the celery. Now, the mineral salts that Anthony speaks about will probably be minimally affected by multiple hits. You know, those items, those nutrients in the celery are pretty stable. But the things that are not stable are the antioxidants, the zeaxanthin, the lutein, the vitamin C, and other sensitive phytonutrients that, in my opinion, can have a significant role on having the celery juice work for you or not work for you. So if you're using the Vitamix, you know, you're not going to get, or other blenders, you're not going to get all the nutrients that Spirit may want you to get because you're doing multiple hits, right, on the machine, on the celery, and lowering the nutrition. You know, I'm all about optimizing things, you know, having the highest quality food, highest quality juices, and ways to process the food. I've been specializing in playing with appliances and kitchen appliances that allow you to eat more fruits and vegetables now for the last 23 years. And check my other videos for more information on that. So yeah, so basically, you know, the blender, while it's better than not drinking celery juice, you know, I would say, you know, get rid of it, and that shouldn't even be a consideration or an option for you guys, right? The next juicer that is most common is this style. This is called the Breville juicer, and in the comparison video, Anthony does the Vitamix strained out or the Breville. And the Breville juicer, you know, and all the other juices on the table are great because they don't necessarily do multiple hits on the produce item. They hit for limited time, they get ground up, grated up for a limited time, and then the juice is expelled. So it's going to do significantly less nutritional damage than the blender, in my opinion. But that being said, the Breville juicer or other high-speed centrifugal ejection juicer, so if you go down to your local department store, you know, pretty much they're going to have a high-speed juicer. It's very rare that big box stores will sell any kind of slow juicer, which we'll talk about in a second. But these machines, you know, the Breville, for example, runs at 10,000 RPM. So, you know, I did quote the Vitamix running at 30,000 or 20,000 RPMs. This runs at 10,000 RPM. So although you put the celery in there, it hits the blade once, it gets ground up and micro shred. It's being spun around in a centrifuge to get the juice out, which then basically adds air to the juice being created. So when you make a juice in this machine or other centrifugal ejection machines that are high speed, it'll basically aerate the juice and actually put extra oxygen in the juice. Based on scientific published studies I've seen when they, for example, tested broccoli in a high-speed machine versus a low-speed machine, the high-speed machine definitely showed less antioxidant potential in that juice. And then in addition, when they took that juice created with a high-speed machine and a low-speed machine and put it into a petri dish or something and put cancer cells in there, they saw that the juice made with a slow juicer and even more and above the blender, better than the blender, actually had a better reduction or a, you know, inhibition of growth of the cancer cells. So what does that mean in layman's? That means in layman's terms, you know, if you are looking once again for optimal benefits, don't use a high-speed machine either. That being said, I'll be the first to say that using a high-speed juicer would probably be my preference over a blender. That being said, you know, I want you guys to do good, better, best. If you guys can't afford an expensive slow juicer or other slow juicer, hey, by all means, if you have a free juicer that somebody gave you and happens to be high speed, use it. But know this, you know, I want you guys to save up to actually get a good slow juicer in the long run, because in my opinion, it will give you every possible little advantage to increase and better your health and get over any conditions that you may have. So then that brings us to the slow juicer. So there's many different styles of slow juicers on the market today, and I mean mainly they're classified in a few ways. You know, sometimes they're called masticating juicers. Masticating juicers are juicers that chew, and this would be like the Champion juicer. Now the Champion juicer, you guys aren't seeing that today. That's because I do not recommend the Champion juicer for juicing celery, because the Champion juicer, because the blade spins at high speed, so it's going to oxidize the juice you're creating. Plus, the way that it works is the celery strings are going to get stuck and wrapped around the Champion juicer's blade, and it's just going to really not work well. So I do not recommend that machine. That being said, that is a mid-speed juicer. It's not a low-speed juicer, so I don't recommend the Champion. In many cases, people will call masticating juicers these slow juicers. That being said, I think that's misinformation. I like to call them slow juicers. So the style we have here are single auger juicers, and they just run with a single auger, much like your old-fashioned meat grinder. And we have a horizontal single auger juicer and a vertical single auger juicer. The other style slow juicer we have today is a twin gear juicer. And you're like, John, which one of these slow juicers are the best? Well, you know, here's the thing. Which one of your kids are your favorite kid, right? You like your kids if you have multiple kids. You know, one kid for certain reasons, and you like the other kid for certain reasons. And I like these juicers, you know, for certain reasons. And you know, when you're selecting a juicer, it's important to figure out like what you want to do with the juicer, what features are important for you to have in a juicer, what you don't want in a juicer, and then watch my videos so you could get an education and find out which juicer will best meet your needs. I'll tell you which one best meets my needs, but your needs are probably different than mine, because I juice a different variety of things, and certain things are important to me and certain things are not so important to me at this stage in my life. And so each one of these have their pros and cons. And basically, if we want to talk about like what does Anthony Williams, the medical medium, use himself, well, from what I've seen and in the pictures and stuff he posts, he uses the Omega NC900, which is basically this model right here. It's a horizontal single auger style machine. This machine runs at a low RPM, like 80 RPMs. It's going to produce actually an excellent quality of celery juice, and it's not going to get stuck up with the celery strings like some machines might. Also, it's really easy to clean. This is the easiest to clean juicer. It takes me about 80 seconds to clean. If you guys are looking for any of these machines or equipment, check the links in the description down below for direct links so you guys could purchase them from me at Discount Juicers. And actually, I want to take a minute out of this episode real quick to give myself a plug. I don't normally do that, but I would like to say that, you know, I make these educational videos on YouTube, across YouTube and my different channels. I have over 2,400 videos on YouTube now, educating people about the power of eating more fruits and vegetables, something that I personally found, whether I was led to by spirit or otherwise, for the last 23 years, and I have learned that it is the most important thing you guys could do. So that's why I appreciate Anthony Williams, the medical medium, that actually is bringing this out more to light and reaching thousands and millions of people around the world and around the country with this, his best-selling New York Times book. And if you guys haven't heard of him, I definitely recommend check into his book. He has a lot of good things to say in there, and you know, I'm trying some of them myself. When you are ready to purchase a juicer, I would encourage you guys to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. This allows me to literally put celery on my table, pay my electricity bill, pay my house payment, so I can continue to make these educational videos for you guys that I put out on YouTube. You know, I like to think that I'm of value in the world, and that by making these videos I'm helping people out, and hopefully if I've helped you guys out, you'd help me out by making your purchase at Discount Juicers. That allows me to continue my work and my mission to educate the public about the power of fruits and vegetables. Now, if you guys go buy at Amazon, they're not sitting there making videos for you guys to educate you guys about what is really the best juicer for you. Yeah, of course you could read the reviews, which could be helpful, but you know, I mean, what better thing could you have than a juicing expert explain this to you? And I'm not just going to tell you, like, buy this one. I'm going to show you guys the full range and the pros and cons of each one so you guys could learn it and take it in. And so I think that's a lot more valuable. And know this, right? I know some of you guys are cost sensitive. You guys are on a fixed budget, fixed income, Social Security, whatever. You know, I will match any other authorized retailer's price, right? So if you think you could get it for $5 cheaper, I would encourage you guys actually to buy it from me for $5 more, just so I can continue my work. But if you feel the need that you need to get it $5 cheaper, let me know. Send me the link to the place that you found it for less, and I'll be glad to match their price. That so that you don't have to feel like, oh, I'd love to support John, but I'm not spending $5 more, right? So I'm going to match their price. And then the other thing you're going to get with me when you don't support a big box store, this is huge, is you're going to get my support, right? If you have sale questions, you could ask me, the juicer expert, and I respond to all the emails that come in regarding juicers and equipment to you personally. It's not one of my assistants or anything like that. I want to make sure you guys get the right juicer. I answer all the questions to make sure you guys have the most accurate and best information so you guys can make the best choice for you, not only before you buy the juicer, but even after the sale. Should you have questions after you get the juicer that's not working right, I've used all the different juicers. I know what could happen and when. I've heard from a lot of customers, although I do occasionally get stumped, but I will find out the answer because I will experiment and try things in my kitchen to get the answer for you guys. And this is something you guys can't do if you guys order or buy from a big box store. The guys there are just basically people that are not specialized in anything. They're just going to try to help you the best they can, but they don't know the exact answers that I would. And the other thing that's really important when you support me is that you're going to get me as your liaison. Well, what's that mean, liaison? Well, that means basically, all these machines that I recommend have nice long warranties, right? I want you guys to purchase items that actually will last in your kitchen, not a disposable item. Many of the different juicers and things at big box stores are disposable. They have a short 90-day, maybe 1-year warranty, and basically they're made in China. And once they break down, right, you can't get parts, you can't get support. You basically got to throw it away and buy a new one. And then you're out money and you're out time, and you're probably getting an inferior product in the first place. That being said, the machines here, the slow juicers that I'm showing you guys today, are all made in Korea. They are high quality machines, and actually they have like 15 years and 12 years of warranty. So imagine if your iPhone had a 12-year warranty. If any time during that 12 years, due to no fault of your own, that your iPhone stopped working, Apple would replace it. Well, they don't have a 12-year or even 15-year warranty, but these juicers do. So should you buy a good quality, high-end juicer, and that's what these guys are, you're going to be covered with the Omega VSJ for the next 15 years, that you'll be able to juice your celery without any issues. And should there be any issues, the manufacturer will take care of any manufacturer's defects and replace parts for you. And that being said, there are reviews on different websites online that sometimes people aren't getting service from some of the manufacturers that I deal with myself. And I personally cannot verify those, because all I could say is that every customer that has come to me with a legitimate warranty claim, that may have not been able to contact Omega, and then they contact me and say, John, I'm having a problem with my machine, this is the problem, Omega's not responding. I get involved, I pull some strings, I know the people at Omega personally, I have personal relationships with them, and my customers will get taken care of, whether that's through Omega or TriBest or any other of the other companies I deal with. The manufacturers want my customers to be taken care of, right? They want me to be happy because they know I make many different videos on YouTube, and I tell like it is. Sometimes things are good, sometimes things are bad, and if a company has bad customer service, I'm gonna make a video about that and share with you guys that too. Because I want you guys to know the truth, and that's the most important thing. If you called me anything, you'd call me a truth seeker, because I just try to show it like it is, let you guys make your own decisions. So once again, I want to thank you guys for your support that allow me to continue to make these education videos and live my life and be of service in the world for those of you guys that will purchase from me. And I want to thank you guys for those of you guys that have purchased from me in the past. So it's much appreciated. Anyways, on with the video today. So getting back to the slow juicers, right? Each one have their own set of pros and cons. And I guess I'll just sum it up for you guys, because a lot of you guys might turn off this video now because you guys have short attention spans. But basically, if you want it, each one of these are good in their own respect, right? So if you want to juice like celery and you just want to do the celery juice every day and you want something easy to clean, get the one Anthony Williams uses, the Omega NC900. Links are down below this video, right? That's going to be the easiest to clean. That's going to juice celery without clogging, without issue. Just take this things of celery, you put it through the machine, it juices, the pulp comes out, and you're done, right? And so that's good for celery. This is also good for other leafy green vegetables, especially good for leafy greens and wheatgrass and sprouts. That being said, if you do want to juice a lot of fruits, like straight fruits, like pineapple, John, I want to make straight pineapple juice, this is not the machine for you, right? Every juicer has their pros and cons. In addition, this machine may take longer to feed, because literally you have to push each stalk of celery through the machine, and as it's rotating, you go chunk, 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 and it'll get juice. And I'll show you guys this near the end of the episode. So it can take a little bit longer to use, but it's easy to clean. Actually has a 15-year warranty, so that's really good. But this machine will also allow you to make frozen fruit sorbets. So if you're trying to get off the ice cream, which is not a health food product in my opinion, you can just take some frozen wild blueberries, or Anthony Williams recommends. You could throw those through the machine, frozen wild blueberries. You make a frozen wild blueberry sorbet. You know, frozen blueberry sorbet is not super sweet, but it's phytonutrient rich. Probably can also detox you. You could throw a few bananas through there if you want for some flavor, or some other kind of you know, strawberries in there, and make a nice banana sorbet or fruit sorbet instead of eating the ice cream, which is probably not good for your health, whereas the wild blueberries are definitely good for your health. So that's why I like this machine. Going over to the next machine, the Omega VSJ843. This is a horizontal single auger. This is a vertical single auger, right? And now this machine, if you just try to take straight celery and put it through the machine like you think you probably would use it, that would not be good, because the celery strings and stalks will get stuck in this machine, because in this machine, unlike this machine, the produce you put in has to go down, and then it has to actually go through a right angle, and then the pulp has to come out. With this machine, it goes in, gets ground out, and then once it's in there, it has a straight shot out, so the strings are not going to get stuck in this machine. In this machine, the strings will get stuck up, so for best results, I do recommend and encourage you guys to pre-cut your celery into little 1/8" or 1/4" pieces, and then drop them into the machine. You're like, John, cutting your celery up before juicing is a pain in the you-know-what, right? Well, so yeah, so cutting up the celery, then you could drop it in, but the cool thing about this is that you will not even use the pusher on this, right? You drop the celery in, it's going to feed it at its own rate that it needs to accept it, and it's going to make the juice. So you could sit there literally chopping, taking a handful, dropping it in, let it work on its own without you having to push things in. You know, for me personally, I'd much rather chop up celery and drop it in than sit here and put a piece of celery in and chop, 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 and push it in each little rotation. You know, so in the long run, you will save some time with this machine. In addition, this machine is more versatile. So, you know, unlike this machine, you can't juice straight pineapple. It's going to basically back up and not work for you. You can easily juice straight pineapple in this machine. So this machine is a lot more versatile and can juice a wider variety of things. A lot more easy, and is a lot more forgiving. This machine only takes me about 3 minutes to clean, so it's also very easy to clean. Actually, this is the style machine I use in my very kitchen because I juice a variety of things. Oh, and let's talk about like cucumbers. I know cucumbers is another thing that the medical medium is really up on. If you try to juice straight cucumbers in this machine, depending if your cucumbers are soft or hard or firm or not, you know, straight cucumbers may back up in this machine, or it may work pretty well. Now, if you mix cucumbers with celery, it's going to work a lot better because, you know, the machine needs some kind of hard fiber. That being said, this machine is going to easily do even the softest cucumbers and juice them without any incident. I did a huge cucumber in here last night. So yeah, so this machine's a lot better with different textures. This machine will also juice the leafy greens. Once again, leafy greens should also be pre-cut. This will also juice the wheatgrass, but wheatgrass should also be pre-cut for best results. You don't have to pre-cut the wheatgrass in this machine. This machine will also make the sorbets and nut butters, although there is no specific attachment for that. I do have a link down below showing how you guys can do that in the VSJ843. The other thing is I like the size of the footprint on this. So the footprint is how much space it takes. So this machine is actually quite long, quite large. If you guys have limited kitchen space, you might want to get this machine because it's basically the footprint of like a coffee maker. It takes a lot less counter space for those of you guys that have less counter space. And so yeah, that's the Omega VSJ843. Now on to basically like the catalog of juices over on this side. This is called the Tribest Green Star Pro. You know, the Green Star Pro and the Green Star Elite basically are the same machine. The Green Star Pro is the one I choose between the two because this actually has 100% stainless steel gears, which I like, and it actually has a longer 15-year warranty for home use, which I also like. So that's the longest warranty in the juicing industry. And now this is a twin gear machine. You know, there's pros and cons of this machine. The pro to this machine is that you probably will be getting the highest yield because it really makes the pulp super dry. These machines can tend to leave your pulp a little bit wet, so this can be important if produce is expensive, you know, where you are. And if you're trying to juice organic produce like Anthony Williams Medical Medium recommends, that could get quite expensive. So this will literally extract every last drop out of the produce. So over time, this machine will pay for itself because you will be getting higher yields. In addition to the higher yields, you will also be getting the highest level of phytonutrients. You know, based on studies I've seen where they compare this style machine to a two-stage grinder and press, aka Norwalk machine, or between this machine and a Champion, or this machine and a centrifugal ejection machine. This machine produces the highest nutrition rich juice with the highest amount of extraction in the minerals overall, not any particular category, but if you lump them all together, this machine is the best. This machine runs with 2 twin gears and has some bio-ceramic and far infrared technology, which I believe helps to pull out more nutrients in the juice, as well as the low speed technology that is literally just squeezing more. So even if this machine makes more juice than this machine is going to have more nutrition just because of the fact that it made more juice, but also, in my opinion, because it actually is better at grinding things up and extracting all the nutrients when you're making the juice. So although this machine does make the most yield, it is also the most expensive. And one of the other downsides is that it does take longer to clean. This one may take me about 5 minutes to clean. And in addition, this machine also, you do need to push each produce item into the machine to get it to juice. Just like this style machine, this machine is not good for juicing straight fruits. I did do a video, I'll put a link down below, juicing straight fruits in this machine. This machine kind of pretty much did cucumbers, straight cucumbers, alright, with some little bit of challenges. This will not really juice straight pineapples without any issues. So, I mean, if you're juicing for you and you're on the medical medium program, and you have a family and kids, husband, wife, whatever, and they're not going to drink straight celery juice because it tastes gross. I think some celery juice is better than none. So, add some fruits with your celery to get them to drink it, so at least they'll be eating more fresh fruits and vegetables, which are the best. But of course, if you want the exact results, you got to do straight celery juice. All right. So that's where this machine is. As you guys just heard, every machine has their pros and cons. Which one? Oh, and this one will also make the nut butters and the sorbets and all that kind of stuff too. And so, which one's the right one for you? Well, based on that, you could say, well, John, if I just want the easiest one to clean, easiest to use, it's a no-brainer, you're going to get the NC900, right? If you want to juice the celery and the cucumbers straight at different times of the day, you probably want the best and easiest time doing that. You don't mind pre-cutting your produce. You're going to want to get the VSJ843. If you're one of those people that it's hard to get organic celery and super expensive, you want to get every last drop out because that's how you're raised, you want to get the Green Star Pro. And of course, if you don't have the money to get some of these high-end machines, I think I wouldn't do it, but you could get a high-speed machine. It's going to lower the nutrition in there, but these machines are actually the least expensive. And, I'd love for you guys to buy it and support me to buy a juicer so you guys get the brand new warranty. But honestly, many people will buy a high-end juicer. They might use it once or twice, and then they no longer use it. So I would encourage you guys to check out Craigslist near you. Many people are selling some good high-end juicers for a fraction of the price because they found out they just didn't use them. That being said, if you do buy a used juicer, you need to be aware that some warranty does not transfer. So should you buy a used juicer, you're not going to get a warranty. So if it does break, you're going to have to order parts or send it in for repair. So that's why I believe buying a new juicer, spending up, ponying up, to buy a machine, with a 15-year warranty, basically you're covered for the next 15 years, even though you could save some money buying it used. The warranty is super important. In addition, you're also going to have me on your side if you purchase from Discount Juicers to get all your juicer questions and needs answered. So yeah, that's pretty much the summary, and a lot of you guys might turn off the video now, but now we're going to get into the advanced stages of this episode where actually I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my celery selection tips, and then we're going to actually test each one of these juicers one after the other to show you guys the process of how to juice one head of celery the same exact amount in each one of these machines, and then we're actually going to go ahead and measure the results and compare how much juice each one of these machines made with the same given celery. Because I know some of you guys, the yield might be the important thing, but some of you guys, the nutrition, and you will also get to see the oxidation occurring in the celery juice to know if your celery juice, has more nutrients or actually less by simply the color of the celery juice that I will be producing. So now I'm ready to get into actually the juicer comparison test, and I'll be basically running 2 comparisons. I'll run the Breville versus the Omega NC900, and then I'll be comparing the Green Star Pro and the VSJ843 in their operation, and more importantly, I'll be timing how long it takes to make juice in each of the juicers. We're going to measure how much the machine yields, as well as we're going to take a look at the color of the juice, and I'll show you guys what the color of the juice actually means. So I guess the first thing I want to get into is actually talk to you guys about purchasing your celery, right? You guys who grow celery, I do encourage you guys to do that. You know, in my experience, when I have grown celery, it never really heads up right, and the flavor is much more intense than actually buying it. Celery does take a pretty good long time to mature, so probably not the best idea to be growing it if you don't have acreage. But it's good to like actually have nice celery for making soups and other recipes, but not necessarily maybe for juicing. So that being said, you will probably be buying your celery. And so there's a few different options here. The first option you're going to have is organic versus non-organic. And I always encourage you guys to support organic agriculture whenever possible. Organic agriculture is a better step in a better direction than even conventional agriculture. You know, I know organic can cost more expensive. For example, in my local area, non-organic celery could run from 50 cents, you know, per head to maybe $1 a head. Organic celery could run for a head between like $1.29 to like $2.49 at whole paycheck. Actually, I like this place called Sprouts Farmers Markets. If they have those near you, they're usually pretty inexpensive. Or actually, most standard grocery stores that have a small organic section, in many cases, they will have celery, and actually it might be a good price. That being said, if you guys can't afford organic and it's too much money, get the standard celery. The standard celery, the conventional celery, is still better than probably most other things you're eating, but in my opinion, organic is better. You know, for a few reasons. Number one, in general, but not always, the nutrition is going to be higher in organic celery because they add more than just the NPK fertilizers to the soil. You know, in general, they're adding compost, which is going to add a much more wider spectrum of nutrients to the soil, including trace minerals and soil bacteria and fungi, which can help the plant uptake nutrients. And so you're going to have actually a much broader range of nutrients in that organic celery. In addition, it's like what's in the food, but it is also what's not in the food. So under standard conventional practices, they may spray toxic chemical man-made pesticides on the food that may bioaccumulate us, which may not be so good in my opinion. You know, on organic celery, yes, they can spray things on it, but it will be organic approved things that in my opinion are, you know, less harmful than man-made chemicals. In organic agriculture, they may use, you know, naturally occurring, you know, like neem oil and other things that are basically plant extracts that have then been concentrated. Now, so that's the easy answer to that. But now the next thing is, if you guys have local farmers markets near you and it's the right season, right, I would encourage you guys actually to buy your celery locally, right? So go to your farmers markets. Some farmers markets around the country, you know, are actually just people reselling produce items you could have just bought at the grocery store anyway. So be sure always to ask the farmer, hey, did you grow this? And another important question is, when did you harvest this? And if their celery kind of looks like this and all brown on the bottom, that's the oxidation of the cut mark, right? They didn't harvest it yesterday. It should be actually nice and white, or pretty much white. I mean, it might have some dirt on there, right? But it's not going to look old and shriveled up if they said they harvested it, you know, this morning or yesterday, and they're selling it. So then, you know, kind of be wary of that. But in general, you know, fresher harvested produce is healthier because as the produce is cut off the vine, off the plant, the nutrients start to degrade over time. So especially some of the phytonutrients, which are the most important nutrients in my opinion, you know, can reduce over time. So you want to get it as fresh picked as possible. And in addition, you could also ask the farmer if they grew it, you know, hey, what kind of fertilizer did you use? You know, if they, hopefully they're going to say compost and not just like 10-10-10 fertilizer. You could also ask them if they sprayed any pesticides, any man-made pesticides, or if you use organic practices. You know, so I encourage you guys to support local farmers. Plus, local farmers, you're going to really find cool celery. Like celery at the store pretty much looks like this, but celery at the market, it'll be like super long, have all these nice green tops on there, which are also very important to juice. Actually, a lot of the nutrients in the celery are in the greens that normally, unfortunately, get thrown away. The final thing I want to say is, you know, answer the question between, John, should I get organic celery hearts or organic whole celery stalks? You know, sometimes you guys are going to find organic celery hearts near you. Sometimes they're maybe more expensive, sometimes they're less expensive than the whole celery. Honestly, you know, it's always best to get the whole big celery, not the hearts. The hearts might be nice and convenient, but most times I see the hearts are maybe not as vibrant and they don't have as much juice, you know. So in general, here's a tip. one head of celery is going to make you, a good sized head of celery, because sometimes they have small ones, is going to make you about 16 ounces of juice, and that's actually the amount of juice that the medical medium recommends you guys drink. And if you're having to use the small ones, then you're actually probably going to have to use about 2 of them to juice to get about 16 ounces of juice. Now the other thing I want to say is when you're selecting your celery, this is probably one of the most important things, is you want to select the celery that is most dark green. The whiter the celery, the lighter color the celery is, the less nutrients are in there, the more it's been basically, the more old it is, right? And so, for example, you want to try to find celery that's like, let's see, I think this guy. This guy's like pretty much nice dark green, if you guys could see that. And if I take out, some of these celery hearts in here, this guy, you guys see how that looks kind of like pale? It's like a little more like whitish color. And over here, this is like a lot more dark green color. So you always want to select the celery with the darker color, right? Sometimes the hearts might be darker, but most of the times they're not. And then when you're picking through the celery at the store, try to pick out the ones that are, nice and deep, rich green color, not the white or the yellow color. That's a sign of age, and it's going to have, lower nutrition in there for you guys. In addition, I always encourage you guys to purchase the celery by the each instead of by the pound. Some grocery stores will sell celery by the pound, and I would encourage you guys to avoid those grocery stores because in general, when they're selling it by the pound, you're going to end up paying more money than by the each. And of course, when you're buying them by the each, I'll go through the whole stack of celery to find the ones that are not only the greenest, but also way the heaviest, because sometimes celery could be heavy or it could be light, and the lighter your celery, it means the less juice you're going to be able to produce out of it. So hope these celery selection tips have also been helpful for you guys. Next, actually, we're going to go ahead and get into the juicer comparisons. All right, so let's take a look at the scales there. 2 heads of celery on scale number 1 looks like 770 grams. And then over to scale 2, looks like, once again, 770 grams. We'll zoom back. Yeah, it looks like 770 grams on both scales. So it looks like we do have a fair fight. So now that you guys saw we have an even weigh-in, we're going to go ahead now and juice 1 pitcher or 1 celery head for the Omega NC900 and 1 head of celery for the Breville there. Let's move these scales out the way. Now the thing I'll be doing today is I'll be timing this for you guys to see how long it actually takes to juice in each machine. I know that's important, you guys, but don't forget, the time to juice is part of the total time, part of prepping the celery, so washing it, chopping off the top, chopping off the bottom, chopping off any bad spots or whatever like that. And then also, of course, juicing and then cleaning the juicer. So I'm actually only covering today the time it takes to use the actual machine. So we have the stopwatch app here on the iPhone, and we're going to go ahead and put that out for you guys so you guys could see the total time elapsed and how long it actually takes to juice. And pretty much on the Breville, we just take the celery and put it through the machine and juice it all up. So let's go ahead and hit the start button, turn this machine on over here, and just put the celery through. So you guys can see that went relatively fast. Let's go ahead and hit stop. I mean, literally it took less than 30 seconds to juice 1 whole head of celery. I mean, that's definitely an impressive time. Next, we're going to go ahead and use the Omega NC900. That definitely is not going to be as fast, but it's going to make a better quality juice that I'll show you guys how to look at and tell if your juice quality is good or bad. Anyways, let's go ahead and move that over. Now, the cool thing about the NC900 is you will not need to pre-cut the celery. Just make sure you can take off each piece and run it through the machine. So let's just go ahead and hit the start button on there for you. And the Breville is quite loud. This is actually a lot silent. So, I mean, if you got to get up in the morning and juice when the rest of your family is asleep, you will want to get a slow juicer. In addition, I have the Omega NC900 set to the 5th setting, which is actually the most back pressure. So that's going to ensure we get, the driest pulp. So literally all I'm going to do is just push in each stalk inch by inch. We push it in a little bit, it chunks off a little piece. And in order to speed this up, we're going to go ahead and fast forward this and play some music so you guys can just see the process, because we'll just save some time. Alright, so the last piece of celery just went in the machine. Pretty much the auger in the area that I can see is clear, but you will always have some residual pulp left in the auger that does not get juiced. Now the cool thing is, on this machine and other slow juicers I'll be showing you guys in a minute, you can always take the pulp and actually run it back through the machine to get a further pressing. On the Breville, putting the pulp back through this machine is just going to make a mess. You might get a little bit more, but it's definitely not worth the time that it would take to do that. Alright, oh, so let's stop this. So that literally took probably under 3 minutes to juice all the celery, so that's significantly more time than the Breville. Let's go ahead and turn it off. So that machine was definitely more quiet, and we're going to get to see which one made actually more yield. But before I do, actually, I want to show you guys the pulp that was created. So here's the pulp that the Omega NC900 made. I mean, if we just lift this up, you guys are not really going to see any kind of liquid at the bottom of this container. It's been actually quite efficient. I could grab like a bunch of this stuff and squeeze it, and you can see I can still squeeze, a fair bit of juice out of it, so you could run that through again if you want to get more juice out. On the Breville here, basically what you're going to see is you're just going to see a pulp in here that's basically been shredded up. And if we go through this pulp here, you'll see that there's like little pieces of celery. Wow, here's a pretty big piece that actually didn't get juiced. That's because it just basically flowed through, because things are running so fast. Everything doesn't get torn up into little small strings like on the Omega NC900. I mean, literally this is 100% demolished. You don't see any big pieces or chunks left, whereas on the Breville, I am seeing, here's a little small chunk there, here's a chunk here, here's a chunk here. So literally it's like wasting a lot of produce. And what's the cost? The cost is the time. It's going to take a bit more longer to juice in the NC900. Here's another piece there. And if we, once again, we squeeze this out, wow, look, you see all that liquid coming out. I mean, that's a lot more liquid. This pulp is a lot more wet than the pulp in the Omega NC900. Every juicer has its pros and cons. That's what I try to show with you guys. And so now the next step is we're going to do two things. We're going to go ahead and get the same exact measuring cups here. We're going to put these on the table. And we're going to go ahead and use a sieve here, the same exact sieve, and we're going to go ahead and pour the juices through each of these so that we can see which juicer made actually more yield. So first I want to compare the juices, right, just out of the machines, so you guys can see the juices. Like, you guys see the color difference? Like, what's the color difference? Well, this one's more dark green, this one's lighter green. What's better, darker or lighter, right? In my opinion, the lighter color the juice, the more nutrition is in there. Like, have you ever guys took like an apple and you slice an apple in half and you leave it sit on your counter for a little bit of time, right? The apple starts to turn brown, it starts to oxidize. If you made apple juice in one of these machines, the instant you made it, it would start to turn brown, right? That's enzymatic activity occurring, breaking down some of the phytonutrients in there, some of the antioxidants in there. So basically, the deeper the color of the juice, in the case of celery, the more antioxidant has been broken down. It's like the apple turning from the nice, bright color to the brown, right? So this is the damage we are seeing to the juice. And if you did the test in the high-speed blender, it'd be even worse. This would even be darker. In addition, you guys are noticing the foam that was created. You guys see the nice head of foam. Maybe on beer, a foam head is good. On juice, it's definitely not good, because basically, that's basically juice and air bubbles mixed. And in this juicer, I don't know, you guys can't even really see a head on there. I mean, if I tip this up, you guys could see a little bit. But, I mean, there's significantly lots amount of foam there on the Breville. So let's go ahead and pour this through the sieves there and see how much pulp actually each juicer put into the juice there. Alright, so on the NC900, if we take that out, you guys could see there's actually a very, very little pulp. I mean, you don't really even need to strain this. You could just juice it right out of the juicer. And then actually on the Breville there, I mean, basically looks like it caught some pulp that I can't see because it's all obscured by the foam, which is a significant amount of foam. The next thing I want to do is actually going to go ahead and put these side by side and check out the yield. Alright, let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the yields here. Over on the Breville side, you could really see the darker, deeper green juice with actually a lot more head on there. But actually the yield, in terms of yield, it did pretty good. It made 525 milliliters of juice. And then over on the NC900, you can really see the nice vibrant green color where there's more nutrients preserved. And actually, if you look at that close up, actually it also looks like it made about 525 milliliters of juice. So each of these machines made the same exact volume of juice, but the NC900 made a higher quality juice with actually less foam and less pulp in the juice. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bottle that juice up so you guys can see over time how the coloring looks. The other thing I will say to you guys is that I always want you guys to make the juice and drink it right after you make it for the best health benefits. The longer you let the juice sit, the more it will oxidize, the more you will lose some of the valuable antioxidant nutrients. Now you're still going to get the mineral salts, you know, but you're going to lose some of the phytonutrients, which in my opinion are the most important. So this was the Breville juice. That's the nice deep green color. Which is showing its which is showing the oxidation, excuse me. And then here's the nice Omega NC900, a lot more vibrant color, looks a lot more rich, and better to drink for me, anyways. Now that being said, I do recommend, like, if you are going to juice the celery, make the celery and then drink it for breakfast, right? So do the juicing in the morning. You know, it's in my opinion a bad idea to juice the night before and then drink it the next day, because the juice will turn from the color. And take a picture with your iPhone to prove it to yourself. Once you make it in a slow juicer, it's going to look like this. The next day, it's probably going to look like that. You're losing some nutrition. That being said, if you can't make it in the morning, make it at night, drink it the next day. That's better than not drinking it at all, in my opinion. But even to up it a notch, right, I do have a video I'll link down below how to store your juices for up to a week. So, you know, this way you will maximize the nutrition. That being said, it's still, even though you could store it for up to a week, you should still drink it immediately right after. I basically store it under a vacuum to allow minimal oxidative damage to occur after the juice has been made, right? So, yeah, check the link down below for that. So, yeah, here's the first two juices. You guys can definitely see the color difference. We'll put it right there for you guys. So, the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and actually get set up with the next two juicers. And continue this celery juice off comparison. So now we're all set up, ready to test the next two juicers juicing the same amount of celery. We got the Green Star Pro over on this side, the Twin Gear, and the Omega VSJ843 juicer on that side. But first, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in to make sure we have even amounts of celery. Alright, let's go ahead and do a close-up on the scales. Over on the Green Star Pro side, looks like we have 770 grams of produce. And over on the VSJ843 side, looks like we have 770 grams of produce. Zooming back on both sides, looks like we have 770 grams for both machines. So now that we know we got a fair fight, let's go ahead and move these scales out of the way, clear off this table just a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and get juicing. But before we do, I want to tell you guys more about the juicer I'll be using. The first, the Green Star Pro machine. Now the Green Star Pro juicer is unlike any other juicers you guys saw. It actually operates with 2 gears. And actually this is a gear from the Green Star Elite version that actually has a stainless and then plastic. The Green Star Pro has all stainless steel gears. But I want to show you guys this gear because I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's actually cut away. So in the part they basically cut out this to show you guys. In the middle there's a magnetic and far infrared material, which I believe to help pull more out of the machine, in addition to its longer grinding gear. I mean, literally this is a 3-stage machine. It basically grinds, mixes, and then presses out your juice. Most of the other juicers basically just grind and then press out the juice without the mixing. In addition, this has a pocket recessed teeth and that are going to help cut up all the strings and basically demolish the strings in the celery, whereas none of the other juicers that I showed you guys today is really capable of doing that. And then on the Green Star Pro, you will need to use a pusher. It does come with a plastic and a wooden pusher. Actually, I only prefer to use the wooden pusher. And the cool thing about the Green Star Pro, you don't need to pre-cut anything. So let's go ahead and get the iPhone out here once again so you guys can see how long it actually takes to juice in the Green Star Pro. So I guess let's go for it. We're going to hit start. We're going to turn this on. We're just going to take celery and put it in there. And as you push the celery in, literally it just cuts through it like you're cutting through butter. You know, for the most part, you could use your hand to feed in the celery. And then near the end, you may need to use the pusher here. Super simple, doesn't take a lot of strength. I'm using like one finger to push in the celery. But be forewarned, if you are trying to juice something like carrots, they are a lot more harder texture. You will need to use some downward force if you do have arthritis or are older or are younger and not super strong. This may be challenging for you, so then you may want to stand up on like, you know, on a stool to be a little bit higher to get better leverage on it. Now the other thing I will mention is that I do have this outlet adjusting knob cranked all the way down. That's super important. You want to crank it all the way down for celery and other hard vegetables so that the machine will basically keep the pulp inside the machine for the most amount of time and only let the pulp out when it's completely dry. So that's one of the reasons why the Green Star Pro is so efficient at juicing the celery. Anyways, to save you guys some time, we're just going to go ahead and play some music, speed up this process so you guys can see me basically juicing the celery and save some time. You can also hear that this machine is actually quite quiet if you need to juice the celery early in the morning when other family members are sleeping. Alright, so here's the last bit of celery going into the Green Star Pro machine. Overall, I'm quite impressed. I mean, it just juiced through the celery quite easy. Let's go ahead and check our time. Hit the stop there. Alright, so that took 2 minutes and 33 seconds. We'll just say 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So that actually took 30 seconds less than it took me on the Omega NC900. Just because the way the gears kind of go in, they kind of accept a little bit faster. And then this actually regulates how fast it's coming out. So yeah, that worked actually quite well. Next, let's go ahead and juice in the Omega VSJ843. So now I'm going to juice in the Omega VSJ843, and this machine, you know, does require pre-cutting of your vegetables for optimal results, so it actually does not clog and jam and give you poor results, including lesser yield and actually more pulp in the juice. If you've ever had a vertical juicer and you can't get the top off because it's stuck when you're done, that means you didn't follow my instructions and you didn't use it properly. So if you are interested in getting this machine, check the link down below to a video I will link entitled Juice Like a Pro, and any vertical slow juicer, where I give you guys my 10 tips on how to get this machine to work beautifully for you every single time without clogging, without jamming, and cutting the produce is just one of those many steps. So because cutting the produce is involved in juicing, I will actually start the clock and cut the produce as I need to, and we'll see if it even saves me any time or not. Alright, so already, on your marks, get set, go! Alright, so we're going to go ahead and turn this machine on, hit the start button, and we're going to take the celery and we're just going to go ahead and sit and chop, 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 and then I'm going to go ahead and take this handful and drop it in the machine. This is truly why I like the VSJ, because literally I'm not having to push each produce item in. I'm sitting here and chop, 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 and I'm chopping, and then I'm going to be dropping. Chop, drop, and roll, alright? You can basically load up this hopper all the way up to the top as much as you need to, and let it just auto feed in at the pace that it wants to. So we'll chop, chop, chop. I'm cutting into about 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch pieces. I think to save some time for you guys, we're just going to go, I'm going to continue chopping and topping and dropping. Say that 5 times fast. Chop, chop, I don't know, I can't even say it. I'm going to continue juicing. We're just going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys so you guys can see the total results. Alright, so I'm done chopping and dropping. We have a last few little bits of celery that I'm kind of sticking in there. And now on the vertical juicer especially, you know, you want to put the last produce item in there. You want to let it run just a little bit longer before you stop it, because it is still juicing. Don't turn off your juicer prematurely, because you're not going to get the complete evacuation. Alright, so we're going to let that run a little bit more, but meanwhile, let's go ahead and check our time here. We'll hit stop. So that took actually 2 minutes and 30 seconds approximately. It is still running a little bit in the background there. So basically, that's amazing. It took about the same time as the Green Star Pro. So anyways, let's go ahead and turn this guy off, and let's see how much juice each of these juicers made. Alright, so we got our measuring cups coming out, same exact measuring cups we used previously, and the same exact clean sieves we used previously. And we're going to go ahead and check the yields. But before we do, actually, I want to show you guys the pulp because this is super impressive. So here is the pulp, the Green Star Elite made. And if we take a look at this pulp, you guys can look at that. This is the most broken down pulp of any of the juicers that I've used to date so far in this episode. In addition, we take the pulp here. I got a nice handful. Squeeze it. I mean, it's got some juice in there. You could run it back through a second time. But this is definitely the driest pulp of them all. Next, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the VSJ843 pulp. You know, you do see some strings in there, but we did cut the celery up. But also, if you just take the pulp here, that's what it looks like. You know, there's no big fragments like in the Breville. We could squeeze this pulp, and you know, once again, this pulp is actually fairly wet, so it would, you know, probably be good to feed this pulp back through the machine. Although it's definitely better to feed the pulp back through a horizontal machine than a vertical. Sometimes when you're feeding it back through the vertical, it just kind of gets stuck up in the auger, and then it really doesn't make a whole lot of extra juice. If you want to extract more juice from the pulp, be sure to check the link down below where I have a video on how to extract up to 25% more juice from your pulp after you're done juicing. I'm not going to cover that in this episode. So anyways, let's go ahead and close that spout cap on here, and let's take our juice out, and we're just going to go ahead and pour that through our sieve. And wow, amazingly, I see very little, if any, pulp for the Green Star Pro. Over here on the Omega VSJ843, let's go ahead and pour this guy out. And once again, actually, I'm seeing very little pulp, man. Actually, the VSJ843 made the least amount of pulp, in my opinion, of any of the juicers I did test to date. So let's go ahead and show you guys. Let's tap that down a little bit. So there's the pulp. I mean, significantly, I mean, for you guys on the camera, you guys can't even really see the pulp on the VSJ. There's so little. On the Green Star Pro, there is maybe twice as much. But I think this is definitely still less than the Omega NC900 by the looks of it. Anyways, let's go ahead and next check out the yields on each of these two machines. Alright, so let's do a close-up on the yields for you guys over on the Green Star Pro. Looks like it actually did quite well. Almost made 600 milliliters, not quite though. Looks like it's maybe like 585 or something like that. Pretty close to 600. So that's actually the most yield so far. And then over on the Omega VSJ843 side, let's see how much it made. Close enough there. Yeah, that looks like a solid pretty much 550 milliliters from the Omega VSJ843. Alright, so next we want to go ahead and pour out some of the juices we just created. Once again, actually I want to show you guys actually these guys up close so you guys can see the color difference. I mean, basically these guys and the color difference, I mean, for all practical purposes, I cannot discern the difference in color. They were both made with a slow juicer, so they're that most vibrant light color. Alright, so this is the juice out of the Green Star Pro filling up. This did make the most juice overall, and actually we're going to overfill our container because it won't even fit it all. And so you guys can see this juice is actually nice and light colored. Even that other Omega NC900 juice that has been sitting has starting to turn a little bit more deeper green, showing its oxidation. That being said, it still has not cut up to the oxidative damage of the Breville that is actually the most deepest green. And then finally we're going to go ahead and pour off our juice from the Omega VSJ843 juicer. And that one, ooh, we barely fit it all. So yeah, that's the color difference on that guy right there. Pretty much the same that you guys could see. Now, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and taste a little bit of the leftover excess celery juice. I just had a whole 32 ounces for breakfast this morning, but I'll taste some on the camera for you guys, let you guys know what I think. So that's out of the Green Star Pro. I did use actually a coarse sieve today to strain the juice. So I do taste some small particulate in there. It's not really bothersome. Now, celery juice, it's actually kind of strong, you know. Not as strong as like a green juice, but not as mild as a cucumber juice. Normally I would use cucumber celery for my normal morning juice, my first juice of the day normally. But now I'm changing that up. I'm going to juice celery juice straight up as my first juice of the day. And then later in the evening, after dinner usually, before I go to bed, then I'll have actually a 100% cucumber juice. So instead of doing like a mixture of juices like in night, evening, I'm doing celery in the morning and actually cucumbers in the evening. Actually, I think the medical medium actually recommends straight cucumber juice, right? So anyways, as you guys saw, each of these machines had their pros and cons. They took, the Breville, of course, took 30 seconds to juice all that, the least amount of time, but as you guys can see, oxidize the juice the most, so you're losing nutrition in there. If you want to get a slow juicer, all these slow juicers I showed you guys today have a full 15-year warranty when you buy them new, so you're going to be covered so that you can continue to make the healthy lifestyle changes you want in your life for the next 15 years, which I think is completely amazing. All the machines I showed you guys today are actually also made in South Korea, and actually I visited the factories actually that they were made. So if I remember, I'll post links down below to videos where I visited those factories, although they were making different models at that time. I think the last thing I want to do is actually we're going to go ahead and clear the table off, and we're going to come back at you with my pick for the winner. As you guys saw, each juicer has its pros and cons. If you want to get the exact most juice, which actually in this case was about, I don't know, 35 milliliters more, you want to get the Green Star Pro. The yield difference in carrots is going to be a lot more significant than with celery. So if you're going to juice a lot of carrots, this one's going to make, a good percentage more yield than, say, that guy or some of the other machines. If you want to have the easiest cleaning, of course, you're going to want to go with the Omega NC900. That takes 80 seconds to clean. If you guys want to have the fastest juicing time, but in a slow juicer, then you're going to want to go with the VSJ843 or the Green Star Pro. As you guys saw, it took me 2.5 minutes, working as efficiently as I can to juice the celery. If it's important to you that you want to juice things other than celery, like you want to juice straight cucumbers and straight celery at different times of the day, I would go with the Omega VSJ843. It's going to do the softer textured produce items a lot better than some of the other machines that may tend to back up. If the cost is the most important factor for you, want a slow juicer, then I'd go with the Omega NC900 or the NC800, which is basically the same thing, just a different color. That is the least expensive slow juicer that will juice the celery well for you guys. Of course, if you want a commercial grade machine that you actually can use in a juice bar and you like buying heavy duty stuff, you're going to want to get the Green Star Pro. This is actually juice bar commercial certified by ETL Sanitation, which is equivalent to NSF. So literally you could use this in a low volume juice bar. This juicer has a 30-minute duty cycle, which means you shouldn't run it more than 30 minutes at a time. So that's amazing that the Green Star Pro has that capability to be used in a juice bar to start selling the celery juice. The other thing I will say is I will post videos to all these different juicers, individual links down below. So if you want to learn more about this machine or that machine, because I didn't go into the nitty gritty of each machine, be sure to check those individual videos where I do unboxings and explain the differences and take the whole machine apart and show you guys all the insides and the guts and how they all work. I think the last thing I want to do is we're going to go ahead and clear off this table, and we're going to come back at you with my pick for the best juicer for juicing celery if you're on a medical medium style program. So now I'm going to show you guys my favorite juicer for doing the medical medium program, and this is based on my testing today, right? I use different juicers in my house for different juicers for different things, and I didn't know what juicer I would be picking at the end of this episode, but it was based on what you guys saw, right? I mean, from what you guys saw, basically the Omega VSJ843 produced the second highest amount of juice, so that was definitely good. Produced the highest yield. It also is a slow juicer, so it's going to maximize your nutrition. Actually, the one without the cap is actually the VSJ843, which is actually a bit lighter in color than the others. That being said, these two have been sitting a while, and if these guys sat a little bit longer, they would also turn a darker green, so that's why I recommend drinking the celery juice right after you make it. The other reason why I like it is that it was tied for the second most, longest time it takes to juice. This and the Green Star Pro took me 2.5 minutes to juice that amount of celery, and could be even quicker if you basically dice up and pre-cut the celery and have it ready to go pre-diced just to drop into the machine in the morning. that could save you more time. And then the other thing I like about the VSJ843 is that it only takes me 3 minutes to clean. It's not the easiest juicer to clean, but it's second in line after the Omega NC800 or NC900 to clean. That takes 80 seconds. So this is the second easiest to clean. And I would rather clean this machine than the high-speed Breville, which has a lot of screen area and stuff gets stuck into that screen to clean it. Oh, and the other reason why I'm choosing this machine is because if you're on a medical medium program, you know, I do know that he will have you juice other things like straight cucumber juice. This will juice straight cucumber juice, probably the best out of all the different juicers you guys saw today. And also, if you have a family that is not going to be on the specific program, this machine is the most versatile. So it'll juice things like wheatgrass to leafy greens to, you know, straight pineapple juice, straight cantaloupe juice with the rind, straight watermelon juice with mint. It'll juice carrots, it'll juice beets, it'll juice basically anything you want. But make sure you watch that video, you know, how to juice like a pro in any vertical solo juicer if you do choose to get this machine. You know, and so yeah, this is the machine I would choose if I was on a medical medium diet program style. And I do need to be honest with you guys, this is the machine I use at home. So I do already like this machine. I did not necessarily choose it today because I like it and it is my personal favorite. But time and time again, when I've done my own comparisons with this machine against all others, you know, this machine is a well-rounded machine that in general comes up pretty high on the list, although this machine may not be for everybody. So be sure to check my other episodes on this YouTube channel where I compare this machine to other style machines and I go into the pros and cons of other style juicers because you may end up with a different one. But that being said, if it was me, I'd be getting the Omega VSJ843 because of everything I know about it and because of the performance that I was able to show you guys in this episode. Once again, I want to encourage you guys to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Links are down below to purchase this very machine from Discount Juicers. So actually, I could keep the celery on my table and keep me fed with my celery juice and pay my bills. So I do appreciate that. Hopefully, you guys have learned from this episode, you know, not only what is the best juicer for celery, but also how to select the best celery at the store, how to get it at the farmer's market, how to store your juice if you do need to do that, how to save time when juicing. You know, I'm just here to help you guys out, to share what I've learned because I was given a second chance on this planet because I almost lost my life when I was younger, and I found by eating a fruit and vegetable dominated diet like the medical medium recommends, I was given a second chance, and I'm confident that, you know, if you better your diet, you will increase your health, and God be with you, that you heal from if you are working with any kind of situations in your life. Once again, links to all the machines are down below. That's pretty much it for today. If you guys enjoyed this episode and it was beneficial for you, hey, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this with others on medical medium Facebook groups, you know, on your Instagram, on your Twitter, you know, wherever, so that people can get to know the truth about the different juicers, how they all work, and the best one for them. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new and upcoming episodes. You never know what kind of new appliance, whether that's a slow juicer, vacuum blender, dehydrator, or even really soon vacuum freeze dryers, I'll be showing you guys so you guys can include more fresh fruits and vegetables in your life. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel dedicated to sharing with you guys all the appliances that can enrich your health. Most of the videos are actually juicer comparisons. This juicer versus that juicer versus this juicer. So you guys could buy the best one for you. So with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.